Welcome back, family. Hope you guys are doing great. I wanted to share something that will help all of us out when researching the firmament. There's many of you out there who are still investigating it, whether or not it's real, is it there? And for me personally, after seeing the footage, reading the Bible, and looking at all the declassified documents and the experiments that have been done, things like the Elias effect, where you have a pendulum changing its motion, like the Foucault pendulum during an eclipse, changing its motion, investigating all these things. And the only conclusion you can come to once you've seen this stuff, it's been about 7 years that I've been looking into this, is that we literally have a firmament above us. And it's what the Father in Genesis, it tells us, put the sun, the moon, and the stars inside of. He put them in the firmament. And so eclipses happening, and they're going to be happening here pretty soon. So I want to get this out there. There's a phenomenon with solar eclipses that happens, and it's mind-blowing because I've never heard of it until about a year ago, and I've been meaning to put a video out about this, but I feel like with these eclipses coming up, I might as well do this now. And so I want to talk about it first and share my screen because I was reading about these things that happen, and one of them is a phenomenon called, hit later, space. I'm on space.com. Yes, I'm still a space fan. You caught me. But right here, you have these things called shadow bands. And shadow bands is funny because, what they're doing to us, shadow banning everybody. But they have this phenomenon known as shadow bands during solar eclipses. And it's a mystery. Why? Because no one knows about the firmament. And during these eclipses, you have a concentrated light source shining through the firmament. And what would you expect to see? Some unique shadows. And that's what we have. You have these historic drawings here depicting these things. I'll read right here. It says, another unusual phenomenon that is visible only when the sun has narrowed to just a filament of light, shadow bands. And so these things, you start looking into historic accounts, and there's a lot of them. People are talking about them, these mysterious gray ripples, almost as if there's waters above or below this barrier. Matches up with a lot of the fluid properties we've seen with the actual footage of the firmament. And so they say these ripples are sometimes seen flitting over the ground within several minutes of totality, the period when the sun's sun's disk is fully concealed by the moon. So initially the bands appear faint and jumbled, but as totality draws near, they become more organized. Why? Because that light source is more concentrated that is shining through the firmament. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some footage of this. I've been compiling it and changing the contrast. They're hard to film. So you got to realize people are filming the ground during eclipse. No one thinks to do that. I would have never thought to do that. But people that have found out about these things have shared their footage. And so I'm going to let you check out some footage, just a little bit of it. There's a lot more of it. I'll leave links in the description so you guys can find and watch these videos and modify them yourself to try to gain a better understanding of these things. But these literal waves moving across the ground is what it looks like happening during totality can be recreated using something that is extremely simple. And I had this idea because as a teenager, a lot of people had laser pointers, and my stepbrother had one. So I took the laser pointer and was goofing off, and no one was watching, so I'm unattended, which is always dangerous with a laser. But I took the laser pointer and I would shine it through a glass barrier and make the imagery on the wall just move around, and it was really cool. I'll give you an idea. Let me stop my screen share real quick and take you back here. I turned the lights out just for this, but this is a very redneck version of that. Okay, this is not a super really cool extreme science experiment, but something made out of glass. This is what I was using, like a glass mason jar, and you take a laser pointer. In my case, I don't have a laser pointer right now, but a light source shining through the barrier. It looks really cool. Okay, it moves around, and it almost looks a lot like the shadow bands. Okay, so think about this when you're seeing the shadow bands. Of course, not on this redneck scale, but get a laser pointer. The more concentrated the light, the more unique the pattern is going to be when you're shining through a barrier. And that's why they say it happens at totality, this really cool effect. Okay, so light source moving through a barrier reproduces similar effects. You can almost make it identical if you really wanted to hone in on your skills with doing this and you had some sort of model representing the firmament. But due to time constraints, I'm not going to do anything really cool. But I wanted to share this information so you guys can be looking into this and hopefully finding out more than what I found out. This is just one of many properties of the firmament on display. Like I said before, there's the Elias effect, where it really, I mean, it alters the path of a pendulum big time. It's a significant amount. I don't have the exact numbers. I've talked about it in other videos before, but if you look it up, the Elias effect, I'll try to put images up to go with what I'm saying so you can see how it's spelled. This is from a scientist who was actually experimenting during eclipses to see if they affected the pendulums. He believed in what a lot of people call the ether. And so he was trying to see the effects on things on the ground. And when he did that, he was shocked by what he found. And it has since been repeated. And, you know, maybe some of you guys out there doing pendulum experiments can do this during the next eclipse and see what happens. They've tried doing this in the dark, away from lighting, to make sure it's not the lighting affecting the pendulum, which how would the lighting do that? I don't know. But they're like, come on, this does not go along with the globe. Let's put it in the dark and see what happens. Hide it from all moisture and all these different, you know, nothing they do changes that. The eclipses still impact these pendulums, which matches up with the geocentric model perfectly, with these things above us affecting things on Earth, like tides, similar to how they say it does on the globe, but way more powerful because these things are closer. They're moving above us. They have charges and they have their circuits and they're changing gates. They're doing all of these different things and it's affecting life on Earth. And so it's a really cool thing to look at and see these shadow bands, knowing that there's a firmament, so you guys can really get some good footage of that. And I hope that the footage just turns out great. You can share it with us. Please share it with us. I would love to help get that footage going viral and let it bring glory to the Father for what he made on the second day, because that firmament is about to part pretty soon. And so we need to be ready for that. And knowing that it's there helps get people ready. People that are just so blinded by science, it helps bring them to the Father. So that's what I love about the firmament. It gets rid of all the false imagery right away. And so like to focus on that and do more videos on it and maybe compile everything. I've said that before. I want to compile everything. This is one of them. Shadow bands, the Elias effect, the footage of the firmament, the experiments where people have detected a barrier above us. And of course, NASA comes out with, nope, this is just known as a man-made bubble surrounding Earth, so to speak. You know, they have their little terminologies. It's very low frequency waves that are just creating this perfect environment for a man-made bubble to surround the globe. And so that's what they say is up there whenever people detect stuff that's above us. And so unique indeed, to say the least. There's nothing like the firmament. They can't blow it up. They've tried. And there are descriptions, I believe, 2 Esdras, or the 4th book of Ezra. I think it's 2nd Esdras in the 1611 King James Version, says that the firmament is founded on the waters. This just happens to be a book that I heard that Mr. Christopher Columbus quoted to get funding for his travels, to, you know, pretty much show them that, hey, there's more land out there. And honestly, they would have seen that book and been familiar with it and said, oh yeah, the firmament's founded on the water. You're not going to fall off of the edge. Sure, here's some money. Go exploring. Okay. And so Mr. Rome himself coming down here, Christopher Columbus, never think about him being Italian, but I was watching the Rocky movie and they were talking about Christopher Columbus being Italian and all of that, you know, trying to be the Italian stallion when they're coming up with that name. And I'm like, wait a minute, Italy, this guy? I don't know why I never made that connection in school, but interesting stuff. Just wanted to pass that along and hope you guys can see that and do something with it, because these eclipses are coming up soon. We need to get the word out in the community to be looking for these things for people that are there. I know it's hard to get up and travel. I know there's some people that are doing that, that'll take off and go and film these things. So that's one thing to be looking out for while you're filming. I've already talked to Matthew Beavers. He's going to be going down and filming one, I think in Utah when it happens. And so he will be doing that. And he knows about these now. Me and him talked about the shadow bands. And so he'll be trying to film that as well. So awesome stuff up ahead if their return doesn't happen before then. But anyways, stay ready. You guys are awesome. There's a lot of cool things going on. We have the Kingdom Crew Conference in October, and I believe it's like the 16th through the 22nd. We will most likely be speaking on the 17th. And so the presentation, all I can say is I can't wait to talk about this. The things that we're finding in the Word are blowing my mind daily. Like literally, my view of Genesis just changed in the last couple of weeks. The things that we're seeing, like it's mind-blowing stuff. And so I hope you guys can join us there. We'll have links available when the time comes to where everything's going to be at. So stay tuned. Make sure you click that bell so you're notified of things. And those of you who are sending us emails about Creation Standard and the homeschool help, I'm getting them. We're still working on stuff. Like I've said before, I'm in classes right now, gifted certification going on, a lot of things going on, and I'm not able to do what I want to do. So everything's just free this year. I'm just giving free samples of things to come. When we have our fall break coming up in a couple weeks, I want to go live and do like a live lesson, live lecture, and do little Q&A things just to have fun with the students, meet some of you guys, and just get a feel for what you all want for next year. And so if you're interested in that, Creation Standard is what we're calling it, because we have our own creation standards, which is like a modified version of the traditional standards that are geared towards creation, and they put everything to the test that involves the lies. So it's not unscientific. We're going to be putting it to the test. We won't ignore it. We're not turning our eyes to science, it's denying the science. We're actually putting it under the microscope. And so if you're interested in that, send us an email to thecreationstandard@gmail.com. So that's in the description as well. The list is growing. It's getting up there to where if we really are serious about it, which we are, and you guys are serious about it, we'll do it full time next year, and just, hope that everything works out, because that's where my heart's at. That's what I want to do. It's what I wished I was doing this year, but other things happened, and I didn't feel like I was at a spot to where I could just say, hey, everybody fund this project and this part of our ministry. So hopefully by next year we can get enough support and just do this full time. And if we get enough support to do it for free, that'd be awesome. So those of you who are supporting us, it helps. Okay. And if it doesn't make it free, at least reduces the prices for people that we have joining in this adventure of waking up our children, our precious children who have been indoctrinated already. Even if you try not to expose them to it, it's there. Okay. So anyways, I love you guys. The Father loves you. I thank you so much for your support, your prayers, and everything you've done along the way, the wisdom you've shared. Our patrons, our supporters, you guys are a blessing, especially during our studies we have. Those of you that join us, Dennis, Debbie, Matt, Deborah, Elise, all of you, like the whole family. It's a lot of fun. It's a blessing. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys around real soon.